Sometimes in business, meetings can be our bane. They can be the most boring drudgery that we wonder why we have another meeting we have to go to. And the reason that often is because they're run effectively, or we're having meetings when we shouldn't have meetings. The thing is, meetings are important because when we have meetings, that's where good decisions are made, ideas are shared. If we just learned how to run effective meetings, they wouldn't be so much drudgery, they may actually be enjoyable. How do we have great meetings? Let's find out. First, to have better meetings, we need to understand the importance and cost of meetings. You see, if our mentality is that meetings are just a waste of time, but they have to happen, and that's how we think as a leader, that's going to pass down to our employees. And they'll come in thinking, oh, this is a drudgery. And so we need to understand the importance of them. Meetings are important because that's where big decisions are made, strategies are planned, ideas are shared, problems are solved. When they're run well, you can accomplish a lot in the meeting. So if you come to it with the right mentality that meetings are important and we're going to run it well, that spreads to your employees and they're going to be more engaged in the meetings as well. You also need to understand the cost, because sometimes we have meetings when we don't need meetings. We need to make sure that the meeting is important and that it's needed. Now, a meeting can be really anything. Anytime you meet one-on-one, technically that's a meeting. But generally, when we think of meetings, we're talking about larger groups of people. But even one-on-one, you need to see, is my time being used wisely with this person? Do I really need 30 minutes to talk to this person, or can it happen over an email or a phone call? You see, every meeting has a cost, but it's one of those costs that we often ignore. Think about this. When you have 5 people who are in a meeting for an hour and their salary is $60,000 apiece, that meeting costs you $210. When you have more people, different salaries, meetings can get expensive. But we don't put meetings on the budget line and how much it costs and stuff. We don't think about that. So we need to remember that meetings are important, but make sure the meetings are needed and remember the cost. Second, we need to think about the number of people in the meeting. Sometimes we have way too many people in the meeting. One study found after 7 people, decision making diminished. Of course, it may vary in situation, and when you have a lot of people, it makes it easy for people not to participate. They can do what's called social loafing and just hold back, maybe get on their phone and let other people participate because there's so many people and nobody's going to notice. That's not helpful. Third, to have effective meetings, you want dissension and disagreement in your meetings. Believe it or not, consensus is not your goal. When everybody's agreeing, when everybody's having groupthink, that's dangerous. You don't want that because that's how you make the worst decisions. When you share an idea, when somebody else shares an idea, you want people to disagree and talk about potential pitfalls or other ideas that could be better, because that's how you get the best ideas. That's how you get the best solution. It needs to be part of your expectations for everybody that nobody attaches their value or worth to the idea. And in the end, it's okay if not everybody agrees in their mind about the decision, but what they need to make sure they agree on is in action. Now, everybody backs the decision, even if it wasn't their preference. Fourth, to have effective meetings, you need to plan them well. Part of the reason they don't run well is because people don't plan them. They don't put the effort into them. If they were planned and ran well, people would enjoy them more and they would cost us less. First, you need to know what your purpose for the meeting is. Why are you having this meeting in the first place? What is it to accomplish? Know the purpose of the meeting and create an agenda. Now, an agenda is not a magic thing that makes things run smoothly. It needs to be created well. Make sure you know what needs to be talked about and focus on the most important things first. If you just have a template where you change the date from day to day, that's probably not an effective agenda. You need to be more specific about what it's going to be about. Now, not every meeting is going to be the same. Some of your meetings may be, we're going to meet together, discuss what problems each of us are facing, and then decide from there what we're going to discuss. That's still a plan, that's still an agenda, but you're planning and being effective about it. Fifth, to run effective meetings, respect people's time. Start and end on time. Make sure whatever time you have set for the meeting start, you start even if people aren't there. Because when you wait, that's disrespectful to the people who are on time. Also, when you wait every time for people, people will always be late because they know you'll wait. If your meeting has an end time, not all meetings do, but if it does, make sure you end on time. That's being respectful of their time, and not ending on time is a great way to upset people. Also, be prepared. That comes from planning, but having everything ready to go for when the meeting starts. You also want to guard against chasing rabbits. It's easy sometimes to chase rabbits and chase topics from here to there to there. stop it. There might be reasons to kind of chase a little bit at times, but you need to be able to say, no, okay, let's bring it back. Let's focus back on what the issue is, on what the agenda has for us, or whatever it may be. You also may to rein in people who talk a lot. When people are long-winded when they shouldn't be, help encourage them to stop and move the meeting along. This also leads us to number 6, which is if the meeting's done, go ahead and end it. For some reason, we think meetings should be 30 minutes or 60 minutes. And Parkinson's Law says that we often fill the time available to us. However, if the meeting's done, if you can finish it in 15 minutes, even though it's scheduled for an hour, then finish it in 15 minutes and get out of there. You don't have to stay the whole time, and that's part of being respectful of other people's time. Number 7, you need to have a safe environment for people to speak up. You see, too often leaders dominate meetings, and when people disagree, they try to run those people over because they want their ideas. You don't want that. You want an environment where people feel safe mentioning mistakes, bringing up problems, asking for help, giving direct feedback even to you. Because when they feel safe doing that, they're going to speak up. You're going to solve problems better. You're going to have better ideas, and people are going to be much more engaged and motivated in your meetings and in their work. Number 8, to run effective meetings, you want to set clear expectations about the meetings. Now, this is something you can partially do yourself, but you also may want to have the group talk about what group expectations are with you leading that. You want to set expectations about how decisions may be made, what behaviors are tolerated and not, how the discussion is going to happen, and how everybody's input should happen. You may want to give the expectation that nobody attaches themselves to any idea, that you're about the best idea, not about someone getting their idea done. You may want the expectation that everybody has to give input in the meeting. You may want the expectation to be you give your full attention. You may have the expectation that there's no technology. Whatever it is, you want to set clear expectations with the group and then review it over different meetings so that those are the expectations. This is how we behave. This is how we act. This is what we do, and this is how our meetings run. If you do that, you'll have a much more effective running meeting. 9, to run effective meetings, moderate participation. The best meetings are the ones where everybody participates, and often the best results are when people participate close to equally within the meetings. Now, that's not always possible, but you want to encourage and draw input from others who often don't speak up. And that also may include limiting those who talk all the time. If there's certain people who always dominate the meetings, you need to end that. Yes, let them have their input, but make sure other people have their input as well. 10, to run effective meetings, as a leader, speak last. You see, as leaders, sometimes people fear going against us or speaking against us. And also, we sometimes set the tone. If we think, hey, this is the way we should go, often opinions kind of come close to the opinion we share. So as leaders, so that we don't direct something in the direction it shouldn't go, it's often wise to get other people's input first before you give your opinion. Number 11, to run effective meetings, end it right. Sometimes leaders, after the meeting's over, it's just over. You go through the agenda, boom, you're done, you leave. But the problem with that is sometimes people leave with different opinions of what was decided or what was discussed or who's doing what. It's often wise at the end of a meeting to summarize what you discussed to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is what we discussed, this is what we decided. But it's also important to review who's doing what by when. When you make a decision, or when you discuss a topic and it needs to be handled by somebody, you want to be specific. This person is responsible for this task and it's due by next Wednesday, or whatever it may be. When you're vague, then there's going to be no ownership, and then you'll find the next meeting that it's likely that nobody did anything about it. Those were 11 tips to help you run more effective meetings. Try them and you'll find that your meetings run much more effectively.